This video is going to show a demonstration and some important information regarding our new feature, the Sage BusinessWorks Backup Scheduler. The Sage BusinessWorks Backup Scheduler allows you to schedule backups after hours when your users are out of the program. The Sage BusinessWorks Task Scheduler streamlines the setup of automated backups within the Sage BusinessWorks environment by using the built-in Windows Task Scheduler. Users can easily configure backups to run on a daily, weekly, monthly, or yearly basis. We do recommend you make a daily company backup and monthly system backups. Some requirements for using the backup scheduler. You must maintain an active Sage BusinessWorks support agreement for the scheduled backups to run. You can schedule your backups and run the backups while logged into a Windows user that has administrator rights to the computer you are scheduling the backup on. You must create and run scheduled backups on the server if you're using a network version, or on your standalone workstation if you're using a single user version. The computer must be powered on, and the Windows user that created the backup must be logged into Windows during the scheduled backup time. You will want to make sure that your users close out any tasks like reports or posting screens before they leave for the day so the backup will run successfully. If you do encounter a backup failure, an error message will remain on the computer screen until a user closes it by hitting the X or hitting Enter. You can also look at the log files, which will be found in the directory in which your backup is saved. Now let's look at a live demonstration of our backup scheduler. To access the backup scheduler, go to File and Backup Scheduler. And a little configuration guidance regarding the backup scheduler. Set up the backup on either a server or standalone workstation. It's going to be the computer that houses your program and your data. Log into Windows as an administrator to create and run any scheduled backups. Ensure that the computer remains powered on during the scheduled backup times to allow the process to complete successfully. And you can only manage scheduled backups on the computer in which you set them up. So to set up a scheduled backup, we're going to click the Browse button. Then we're going to select the folder that you want to backup to. In this case, we're going to choose BW Backup and click Select Folder. We're going to hit Next. It's going to show you a list of companies that are available for you to back up. In this case, we're just going to do the sample company, and we're going to hit Next. Here you'll choose the frequency of your backup, and you can choose daily, weekly, monthly, or yearly. For your company backups, we do recommend daily backups if you're working in the program daily. If you work in the program a little less frequently, maybe a weekly backup will do, but we do recommend if you're working in the product daily to do a daily backup. And then you go ahead and select Next. And this is going to show you that you've created a job to back up the sample company on a daily basis. It's going to run at the time specified. By default, a company backup is going to go to 11:59:59 p.m. If you do the system backup, it's going to default to 11 p.m. We want to do those at different times because you need to get a lock on all the files to do the system backup. On the screen, if you highlight your task, you can do things such as edit the task, delete the task, or run the task. If you want to make sure that your backup is set up correctly, you can click Run Scheduled Task. You will see a window flash up on your screen, and when the backup's done, it will disappear. If we then browse out to the Sage backup location, the BW backup folder that we created, we will see the backup of sample, and then we will see that it has a valid file size. If you saw this file size and it was either 0 KB or 1 KB, you would think that the backup didn't create successfully, but you can read the log by going to the sample log, and it will tell you the results of the backup. In this case, the daily backup successfully created. So we know that the backup that we scheduled ran successfully. When working with the backup task scheduler, you can also modify your task by clicking on the task editor. This is where we'll use the Windows Task Scheduler in order to change settings within your backup. We do recommend only modifying the information under the Triggers tab. With the Triggers tab, you can set up you can change the default recurrence of your backup to one time, daily, weekly, monthly. You can also change the time in which you back up your files. Any changes beyond those we don't support. So if you do make those changes, you're welcome to change them. But if it stops working after that point, we're going to have you just delete the task and recreate it and go back to our default settings. We're going to go ahead and hit OK on that. And if you needed to delete this because you made a mistake with it, you could just highlight and select delete scheduled task and then go back to create the new task. It's going to default to your location again, and then you can go through and reset it up for your company. If you do want to make a backup of system, we do recommend only backing system up on more of a monthly to yearly basis, as it doesn't really change frequently. One tip with the system backup in particular, everybody does need to have BusinessWorks completely closed out for the system backup to complete. So it might be a good habit to get into to have your users completely exit out of the program at the end of each night. That way you just know that you're not going to have any problems running your scheduled backups. Now we're going to go ahead and create a new backup task. And I want this backup task, I want to run it so that there's a failure with it so you can see what a failure would look like. This sample test, we're going to switch over to that company. And I'm just going to open up a task so that we have an instance where there's a task running when we try to do the backup. So I'm going to highlight the sample test and I'm going to run the scheduled task. You'll notice that the log has come up and it's going to say that sample test is in use and cannot be backed up. Click enter to close this window, or you can X out, so that would be a failure. So if we come in here and look in our BW backup folder, we're going to see that sample test backup has a log file, and if we double click on that file, it's going to say the same thing, that it was in use. We'll try again at the next schedule event. Now, if you do want to attempt to run system as a test, we can't do that. The only way you'd be able to do that is if you independently launched the Windows task scheduler and ran it from there with everybody out of the program. Because as you see here, if we run the system test, it says it's in use and you can't back that up. So if you're done, you've set everything up, you want to make sure that that system backup runs successfully, you can go to the Windows Start button and then just go into the task scheduler. And if you open the task scheduler and you go under the task scheduler library, you'll see Sage BusinessWorks. You'll see your system item here, and you can select run and it will run the system backup for you. The backup's complete when this screen shuts down, and now your system backup will be complete. And we can go into that BW backup folder and you'll see your system backup. So one of the key things within BusinessWorks and the backup scheduler is that you do have to be a local administrator to the computer in order to run and schedule backups successfully. So let me show you the error message that you would receive if you were not an administrator. I'm now logged into BusinessWorks as a user that doesn't have Windows local administrator rights. I'm going to go to File and Backup Scheduler. I'm going to click and select my BW backup folder. I'm going to hit next. I'm going to choose a sample company to back up, and I'm going to run it on a daily basis. You'll notice I'll receive a message saying that I do not have the required Windows permissions to create a backup using this task, that you need to be a local administrator to the computer that you're attempting to make the backup on for it to schedule successfully and to execute successfully. So in this case, you would log out of BusinessWorks as this user and log out of Windows as this user, and then either have your administrator log in or a user that has administrator rights that can use BusinessWorks under their Windows user. I'm just going to hit OK and close out of BusinessWorks, and then I'd attempt it again under the correct user account. Thank you for viewing our video today on the new Sage BusinessWorks 2025 Backup Scheduler.